welcome
to Sort of the Story.
I'm Janey.
And I'm Max.
And this is the podcast where we tell each other stories like fairy tales and folk tales and mythology.
And also,
you are here. Welcome. Okay, so if you're listening to this on the regular feed, no, we are not coming back for July. I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid. We're not back yet.
That said, we are doing a special episode set just to check in with you guys regarding the current political and global climate.
So we chose to do Latin American stories this month for the bonus episode, and we're also releasing an episode on our regular feed featuring Latin American stories we've told in the past to officially make our position on the ICE raids and the Trump administration's immigration policies crystal clear. Bear with me, all of these are going to sound really obvious. First, we believe no one is illegal on stolen land.
We believe allowing ICE agents wearing masks and without any form of identification to kidnap people off the streets based solely on racial discrimination is unconstitutional and a violation of human rights. It also opens the door for random people to enact unspeakable acts of violence under the guise of carrying out ICE raids.
We believe separating families is wrong.
We believe there are no kings in America.
We believe that the Trump administration should be held legally accountable for deporting human beings to El Salvador without due process. And we believe that we, the people, have the power and the responsibilities to our neighbors and communities to push back against a racist authoritarian regime that has no place in the United States of America. We are not in the position to give legal advice, but there are plenty of places that you can go to stay informed. We have links to the Immigrant Legal Resource Center, the ILRC, which has free resources such as the Know Your Rights cards that you can carry with you and distribute to your community in whatever language you need. And if you or someone you know is ever approached by ICE agents, these could be invaluable, and they're in the links in our bio.
The most important things to remember are that unless you are being served with a warrant signed by a judge, you do not have to open your door, step outside, or answer any questions. Don't say anything, sign anything, or make any decisions without your lawyer present. You have the right to remain silent regardless of your immigration status. You have to invoke your right to silence out loud, though. Say, I have a right to remain silent, or I am using my Fifth Amendment right to silence. You can still be questioned after invoking your right to silence, but you do not have to respond. If you are arrested, you have the right to an attorney. ICE detainees, unlike police detainees, are not guaranteed a lawyer provided by the state. So you may have to pay for your own lawyer, but there are lots of legal defense funds that you can avail yourself of. Keep the contact information of an immigration lawyer on you at all times, along with your emergency contact information and your immigrant ID number, which starts with an A, which is how they track ICE detainees within the system. Make sure that your family also has your immigration ID number. If you are questioned by ICE agents or anyone else about someone else's immigration status, say nothing. Do not comply with questioning or interrogation unless you have been served a warrant and have your lawyer present. Police and other law enforcement officers are allowed to lie to you to get information. They can lie about the law, and they can lie to you about what your rights are. Give them nothing. You cannot incriminate yourself or someone else if you stay silent. If you ever witness an ICE raid, you can help by staying calm and filming horizontally, not vertically. Try to get the name and badge number of the ICE agents. They won't tell you and they won't have identification, so this is a long shot. If you can record their faces, definitely do that. There are also hotlines you can use to report ICE raids in your area.
The links to all of this, as well as the Know Your Rights cards and the ILRC website, they are all in the show notes. And as a show of our support, Max and I will be donating $500 in the name of Sort of the Story to the ACLU. And we encourage anybody who can to donate as well.
Thank you, guys. Stay safe. We love you.
We love you. Now enjoy these little stories. These silly little stories that we've done in the past. Okay,
all right, Janey.
What the fuck? Why do I feel like you slapped me?
I also did slap you. I know you guys couldn't hear it on the recording, but I also did slap her in the face.
Palm. It felt great. So today, I am going to be pulling a story from this amazing book I got. It's called The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers and Other Gruesome Tales by Jen Campbell, and illustrated by Adam D'Souza.
Do I know Adam D'Souza? I feel like I've heard that name.
I thought the same thing. And his art style is very recognizable as well.
Ooh.
So, Jen Campbell, I looked her up. Guys, go on YouTube right now and follow Jen Campbell. She is so fun. She is a folklorist and she's a storyteller. She's obsessed with fairy tales and she retells these stories. She has 10 books out. This is her 10th one. And basically, she was like, I love ghost stories. I love spooky stories. I love tales from around the world. But she doesn't like all of the endings, which we come into this here too, where we get to the endings where we're like, obviously a man wrote this and it's really It's a bummer. Like, it could have been good, but then Andrew Lang, like, made it bad. Like, why? And so she took these stories, she condensed it down, so it is good for children, but I also really enjoyed it as an adult. And she changes little things about them to fit them to the time, which I really respect. I like it a lot. She gives the countries of origin. The one thing she doesn't give in this book that we talk about a lot is she doesn't give any details of where she got the stories. She just says, like, this one is from El Salvador, or this one is from Brazil. And it's like, cool, but, like, where did you get these stories? Like, who told you the story? Like, that's the only thing, my note for her, as I want more transparency on where you got these stories, especially if you're going to be changing details, you know?
Yeah.
But it is a children's book, so maybe I'm just being nitpicky, which I am 100%. The story I'm going to be telling you today is the wife who could remove her head.
Ooh, at will.
At will! As you know, this is my number one superpower I wish I had. This is the beautiful illustrations.
Oh, I love it. It's just a bunch of bats and, like...
A firebird.
Yeah, two firebirds and then just a woman's head, and she's, like, cackling.
Her hair's back, there's a moon behind her.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, this is such a pretty story, and yes, Adam D'Souza does such a good job illustrating it. So... this is from El Salvador, and I'll get into a little bit at the end, but let's get into it.
Yeah.
Once there was a woman, and you're not going to believe this, she was a witch.
A witch?
A witch, Max.
Where was she a witch?
In the woods. No, in a house. So she was married to this super controlling guy who was kind of a buzzkill and just wasn't very nice. And so she was like, I'm not going to tell you I'm a witch because, like, you wouldn't be cool about it. And also, it's none of your fucking business. And so every night for their whole marriage, every night, they would go to sleep at the same time. As soon as he'd fall asleep, she would detach her head from her body. Just roll down onto the floor. And then she would fly out the window. And her head would go off and have wonderful adventures. And this was like her favorite thing to do. So... it says that every night she'd use this spell, she'd zoom all over the world, she'd dive deep down into the oceans, which, no thank you, not interested.
I don't want to know what's down there.
No. She'd visit outer space, which also, no thank you, not my business.
This reminds me of The Witch of Fife.
It does.
I did a story, The Witch of Fife.
It reminds me a lot of this. She also flew with firebirds and ate with vampires.
Does she eat blood?
I don't know if she, like, brings her own lunch from home or if she's just, like attacking hikers in the woods.
Here's my question. If you were invited to a dinner party with vampires and you got there and everyone was like, we're vampires, and you were like, oh no, and they didn't have human food, they only had blood, would you eat the blood to be a polite house guest and to respect their culture, or not eat the blood because it would be human blood, and also because it's in limited supply, and
I know for a fact
you'd be taking blood from vampires' mouths.
I know for a fact I wouldn't be eating the blood. This came up a lot in China.
Invited to a bunch of vampire dinner parties, and you were like, I don't want to be rude, but, like, really, blood is not my deal.
No. Maybe I should just let it die there. No, this came up a lot in China there's a certain ethics about you go to certain places around China and around Asian countries and they'll serve dog meat. Will you eat it? And the answer is absolutely not. And there's also been, like, I've had friends who were tricked into eating dog meat where they got through the dinner and then everyone started laughing and they're like, haha, isn't this a funny joke? And I was like, oh, I wouldn't think that was a funny joke.
No.
I would immediately throw a fit.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with culturally anything. It has everything to do with the ethics of eating dog meat. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't eat human meat, wouldn't drink human blood. You know?
Not even a little bit?
No.
What if you knew it was, like, ethically harvested human meat?
I mean, yeah, if it's from the source. Meat? Maybe not. Like, I would drink from a waterfall, but I wouldn't, like, eat from a cliff. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I used to donate blood all the time. Blood is replaceable. I mean, if it's, like, ethically I mean, every vampire show ever has gotten into this, but, like, you know.
I wouldn't drink human blood, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't, but just because I've tasted my own blood and it tastes gross. Also, it upsets your stomach.
We need to talk about how much blood you're drinking. Okay, so she's out there, she's eating with vampires, she's flying around. So one night, her head flies out the window, and she has this nosy neighbor who's awake at that point and looks outside their window. It doesn't say if it's a man or a woman, but I don't I'm gonna say it's a man. But he looks outside his window and he just sees this woman's head zoom out the window and into the night. And he's like, ah! So he gets out of his house. He runs all the way to his neighbor's house. He bursts, kicks down the door. He runs up to their bedroom. He throws open their bedroom door. He shakes the man awake and is like, wake up, your wife's a witch!
Hello?
Yes. So how disorienting to be woken up by your neighbor who's just like,
in your house.
Help! Your wife's a witch! So this guy wakes up like, you're having a nightmare. Also go back to your own house. And he's like, no, her head flew out the window. And he's like, you're definitely not speaking right. Leave my home, thank you. And he's like, no, look! And then the neighbor throws off the bedclothes, which also is dangerous. You're in somebody else's house. What if he's just
they might be
butt-ass naked?
Yeah.
Which is gross. Don't sleep naked.
Mm-hmm.
You fart so much in your sleep, and then all those poop particles get on you and everyone else in your bed.
Yeah.
So, gross.
At least wear underwear.
At least. But
Yeah.
preferably wear a snowsuit.
Preferably sleep in a bubble like the Bubble Boy.
But even in your bubble,
From
you're
the
going
movie
to
Bubble
want
Boy with Jake
to
Gyllenhaal.
wear a snowsuit. That's how I sleep. I sleep in a snowsuit. Basically, I'm cold.
I sleep in an
the whole
orb.
night. So he throws off the covers, and they both see, oh, indeed, there's a headless body in bed with him. And he doesn't, pass out from fright, and he also doesn't look at the neighbor and is like, what did you do to my wife? Instead, he's like, ah, man, my wife is a witch.
Oh, nuts.
Which I'm like, these two guys would be, pointing at each other did you decapitate her?
Yeah.
They just immediately are like, oh, damn it. How long have I been married to a witch?
Consarn it.
So the guy's like, what do I do? And the neighbor's like, well, you need to control your woman. She can't be out here flying out into the night doing God knows what with your head. Women are property, you see. So he's like, well, how do I...
Only men would find out that someone is a witch and be like, oh, I should confront them. You just found out that she can do magic and detach her head, and your solution is to
stop her from doing this?
Yeah,
because it's somehow your business?
But also, she's a witch. If you're like, hey, you're a witch, stop doing that, she can turn you into a whale.
She should.
And she should.
What if that's how my story ends? What a coincidence. So,
this is the whale episode.
Yeah,
the classic.
the whale.
You know how every show has the makeover episode, the prom episode, the beach episode, and the whale episode?
The 4 episodes. We've already done all of those other ones. Guys, go back and check out our makeover episode. So, he's like, how do I control my wife? And and the neighbor is like, okay, so what you're gonna do, I'm an expert, don't worry. You're gonna take some salt and you're gonna rub it on her neck stump. And the husband's like, ew! Why do I have to rub the salt on her neck stump? And he's like, listen, neck stump.
Stop saying that.
I feel like repeating that. And so he's like, that's going to prevent her head from reattaching to her body. And then you're in control, my friend. And then they high five and they kiss a little. And then the neighbor goes back to their own goddamn house and has to repair the door that they kicked in. So the husband goes and he gets some salt and he rubs it all over her neck stump. I like it. So then he gets back under the covers and he pretends to be asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then just before dawn, her head comes flying back through the window, and she's exhausted, but she's exhilarated because she just had the best time flying around this floating head.
Mm-hmm.
I want this superpower. So then she goes to reattach her head to her body like she always does, but there's something wrong. She can't get a good fit, and she's swarming around what is wrong here? And the husband throws off his bedclothes, and he's like, ha ha! I caught you! I know you're a witch! She's like, oh. You're awake? He's like, yes, and now you have to do everything I say because your head can't go back on your body. And she's like, or. And then she hops over and jumps onto his shoulder and attaches her head to his body. And he's like, no.
What?
And she's like,
it can just go anywhere?
yes. And so she's like, or now you have 2 heads and one of them is me. What are we doing today? What's the hap? What are your plans? You're gonna go into town? I wouldn't. You have 2 heads. And he's like, oh, damn it. So then all day, every day, she just spends the day nagging him. Just being a really annoying, guest on his body and being like, you can't do that with our body. No, you can't do that either. Ew, don't eat that. Just really never stopping annoying him, and he hates it. But every night they go to bed, and she detaches herself, and she flies off into the night, and she has fun, and then like without him, and then she comes back and she reattaches herself to him, and so he's like, I need something better than this. I really
just unsalt her neck.
No, because then he'll lose neck stump. Anyway,
I really didn't want to say it, but also my brain was like neck cump. That's not a word.
Much better. So one night she goes out, she flies off, and she's having her great time, alone time that she really deserves. And he goes out to the yard and he digs up a tree. Right? And he's like, this is going to get her. And he chops off the top of the tree so it looks like a neck stump. Then he puts the tree in their bed. Hold on. And he arranges the tree limbs to look like his limbs. And then he hides. And so she comes back the next morning and she's like, so tired. And she, plop, attaches herself to the tree and then she goes to sleep. And a couple hours later she wakes up and is like, time to stretch and go about my morning, and realizes she can't stretch or move, and she's like, hey, what's going on here? And he like pops out from under the bed and he's like, ha-ha! I caught you! Now you're on a tree, and you have to do what I say. And apparently as a tree, she can't detach herself. And so she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, ha-ha! Now you have to do whatever I say. And she's like, cool. What would you like? He's like, what? And she's like, what do you want me to do? Clean the kitchen? I'm a tree. Like, what's the end game here? What would you like? And he's like, oh no, I didn't think about this. So he takes the tree. He's really pissed. All his plans are just failing.
What plans?
The aha moment was really all he had planned. So he takes the tree, he drags it out the backyard, and he plants her. And he's like, I'm going to figure out what you could do for me. And she's like, okay, well, in the meantime. And then it turns out she loves being a tree. She's like, this is great. Every day she stretches her limbs out to the sun and she sways back and forth in the wind. And she's like, this is great. And whenever she gets hungry, she just kind of like rolls one of the tree fruits to her mouth and like chomps on the tree fruit. And then like when it rains, she's like, oh, I was thirsty. So good. And the happier she is as a tree, this man is inside like, no, like having the worst day ever. And every time like he goes to the window, she's like, hey, thanks for my new lie. And he's having a hard time. And then one day,
she attached her head to his body.
I know, she can't get off this tree.
No, but also though, she was like, you can't go into town because you have two heads now.
Yeah.
But now there's just a head on a tree.
In their backyard.
In their backyard?
Yeah. Okay. Garden.
All right.
I don't know how close this neighbor is, so like maybe this neighbor's also like, I shouldn't have told him. There's this loud tree out there. So they're all, she's just having the best time being a tree. Honestly, it sounds really great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lie. And then eventually she starts growing these giant apples, right? And she's like, okay. And then they start to drop to the ground. And every time they drop, they burst open and like hundreds of babies come out. They're like, yay! They roll all around. And she's like, I love my little apple babies.
Human babies?
Yes. And they all start to run around. Hold on, look at this picture.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, look at this picture.
Did he fuck the tree?
No, these are her
You have
babies.
to tell me if he fucked the tree.
No, she made this parthenogenetically without a father. So, this is a word I learned reading Hesiod's Theogony. So,
that's a lot of words.
All these cute little babies come out, and they're really sweet. And then they all, like, laugh and play. They run inside. They grab her body. They're like, woo! They, like, drag it back out. They brush off the neck stump. No more salt. And then they take her head and they reattach it to her body. And then she's like, I love my babies. They're so smart. And they didn't know any better, so, like, this wasn't traumatizing to them. This was normal. And so she chops down the tree, and she takes the wood, and she makes it into a bunch of little broomsticks. And then they chase off the controlling husband. They're like, get out of here. And they run him out of town. And then they all fly through the air together.
Oh.
And they all live happily ever after.
Oh, no, that's so cute. Apple babies.
This is the only time I've ever been on board with this many babies being born.
No.
Okay, so
that's too cute.
This is the cutest story ever. This is the wife who could remove her head. Obviously, when reading it, I was like, there's a very clear line as to where she changed the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I need to figure out what the actual story is. I searched and searched and searched. Jen Campbell, I want sources. Just for me. Not even for the children reading it. Like, it's fine if you don't want to add it for them, but for me. So, I eventually, after, for days, I've been looking for this for days.
Mm-hmm.
Since I got this book for weeks, but, like, every once in a while I'll just, like, try to find it again. Couldn't find it. That's the reason why I did La Seguinaba last week, was because I was searching for this and the only thing that came up was La Seguinaba.
Mm.
So, I ended up finding in Latin American Folktales, Stories from Hispanic and Indian Traditions by John Bierhorst. I see this book every once in a while, but this didn't come up right away. I had to search the table of contents and do all this stuff. Like, I was like, come on, I just want to find one story. I found an article that referenced it, but didn't tell me where it was from. All stuff. So, he has a story in his book called Double Head. And basically, in that one, the husband, I think, ends up basically killing his wife. She's like a head going around and she disappears and he can't find her. So he goes to his priest and he's like, she didn't come back. And I think the logic is that she's dead or has disappeared because she's a witch. But a tree has started to grow in his backyard. And the priest is like, okay, well, like, keep me updated. So he goes back and the tree starts to ooze blood.
Ew.
And he tells the priest and the priest is like, oh yeah, definitely keep me updated. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the tree starts to grow a bunch of fruit and the guy is like listening to the fruit because he hears kids inside of the fruit. He just hears babies crying and kids laughing and stuff inside of the fruit. And he goes back to the priest and the priest is like, yeah, definitely keep me updated. Like, also maybe go buy some baby clothes. And he's like, oh, okay. Weird, but okay. And then eventually the fruit gets really big and it drops to the ground and bursts open and all these kids come out and he clothes them to hide their nakedness is what the translation was, like in the Bible. And then he and the kids go home. And that's the end of how Double Head ends. It's basically the same thing. The wife's head flies around. So
no,
that's the only one I could find.
Those are not his apple babies.
And those aren't his apple babies. Exactly. Those are
not his
her apple babies. I do think that this is from the Papils, which is an indigenous group in El Salvador. I think that this is one of their stories. I think it just came up around. I put a link in the show notes about the Papils. There's like a really cool website that talks all about their history and pre-colonization and all this stuff, where they came from. But yeah, that's not a fun story. And so clearly, Jen Campbell can be trusted to adapt it in the best possible way. Every one of her stories in here is like this.
I love it.
Delightful, very funny, kind of spooky.
As I was doing research about the Huldefolk, I came across a book that didn't end up being pertinent to what I was researching, but it was called something like Stories About the Sea Babies to Tell to Land Babies.
Oh, I'm a land baby.
We're all land babies here.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so cute.
We got some sea babies, we got some land babies, we got some apple babies.
We got some apple babies, we got all the babies, okay?
We got a full set of babies here.
Yeah, so fun.
I like it.
I know. Guys, get this book. Honestly, it's also a gorgeous book. I'm going to put it in the Goodreads, but it's gold foiled and really pretty. I got mine on Thrift Books, which for this particular instance, if it's a newer book with a newer author, I don't know if putting people to thrift books or used books is the right way to go ethically, because I want Jen Campbell and Adam D'Souza, but mostly Jen Campbell. I think he was paid.
Bookshop?
Pays them? Yeah,
because it's sellers who are independent booksellers, like small bookstores, rather than like individuals who have the book, read it, and then want to resell it.
Yeah.
Bookshop actually supports it. They buy it from the publisher.
Okay, good.
But it supports small businesses. So
bookshop.org, right? I'll put that in the show notes too. That's what I'll link it to. But when it's a newer author, we want them to get as much money as they possibly can get off of their sales. So don't go to thrift books for this one.
Yeah, we've talked before about ethical book buying and things like that. Definitely, if you have newer authors and you can find a way to get money to them, do that. Also, if you have authors that you don't want to support, you can purchase their books secondhand so that they don't get money. For example, if you've never read the Harry Potter books and would like to, but you don't want to support someone who's transphobic, then you can... Dozens of people are selling copies of their books on eBay, on thrift books, things like that.
Yeah.
Abe books, even.
And you can get them for a lot cheaper, too.
Yeah. So just think about where your money's going. That's all.
It's a really good idea. Cool. Well, guys, I think we done did it.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Love
podcast babies.
Oh, little podcast babies.
Little story babies.
Oh, my God. Oh my gosh, we have Story Baby merch?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it should be in the Barbie font. And it just says Story Baby.
Oh my god, I want that.
I want that too.
Okay, let's have Barbie shirt.
I
Only
love
sold
it.
in pink. Okay, guys, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay.
So it's my story now. Like I said, I was stuck in Cozumel for almost 2 weeks. Also, our luggage got lost on the way there, so we didn't have any possessions for the first 4 days. And then we got our luggage and it was wet. And we were like, oh, well, at least now finally we can go to the beach because we have swimsuits and stuff. And then literally 4 hours later, we found out we had COVID and had to quarantine. So we did a grand total of 2 things while we were in Cozumel. We went downtown for lunch to a place that I went with a friend of mine many, many years ago for breakfast every single day. And while we were on the way there, we passed this statue. And my partner, Alex, I was distracted by panicking about not having any of her things. He was like, ooh, a witch. I was like, what? And he was like, there's just a really cool statue, a witch. This was on the way into town. And then on the way back out of town, I saw it and I looked it up and everything. And I tried to find out what her deal was. So on Cozumel, there's a statue of effectively a witch. Her name is Chel. She is a Mayan goddess. She is frequently depicted as in this statue as having snakes for hair and a skirt made of crossed bones. And she has her face sometimes has a symbol which means a panther's eye, or she'll have panther claws or feet or something like that.
Cool.
She is super cool.
And I'm looking at a picture.
Yes. So this is Chel. She is a Mayan goddess.
Oh, she's cool as shit.
Yeah, she's
Is she
very
from
cool.
a blood river?
Probably.
Cool.
Let's see. Oh no, I think the water's just red for some reason. I don't know why.
Blood.
Unrelated. So Cozumel is an island off the coast of Mexico, the Quintana Roo province, the Yucatan Peninsula, basically. It is a smallish island. It's actually it's a coral shelf that is big enough to sustain an island, which they have a bunch of ecological initiatives and stuff on the island because of parrotfish eating the coral and stuff like that. So there's a lot of coral preservation and marine preservation stuff that happens there, which is really cool.
I love how destructive parrotfish are. They look like big little stupid cartoons, but they are ruining the ocean.
Yeah, they're the dumbest supervillains of the sea. So we saw this statue of the goddess Chel, and so I decided to do some research on her. So I don't know a ton about Mayan mythology. I learned a little bit for this, but this is a very specific subsection of the Mayan pantheon that I went into. The Mayan pantheon is massive. There are upwards of 150 gods and goddesses of the Mayan pantheon.
Cool.
A lot of them have very similar domains. So there are 14 gods and goddesses of the moon and 8 of childbirth, and the rain is 20 and stuff like that. So but they're all specific within that. The problem is that Mayan cultures, Aztec cultures were conquered brutally. So there are a lot of colonial influences on the later mythology of both the Aztecs and the Mayans. There's also very little record of stories. A lot of the stories that we have are based on sort of reverse projection from myths of cultures that sort of came after. So we can sort of see the iconography and we can see the stories and pictures, but there aren't written records or anything like that. So there's very little that we actually know about the stories of Mayan mythology. There are also lots of gods and goddesses that are unidentified, where we see them in murals and they have very specific iconography and they seem to have a lot of significance, but we don't know anything about them.
So at the time there were people who just kind of knew all 150 of these things. That's wild.
It's also regional though. I mean, Mayan cultures, there would be specific areas would focus on specific gods and goddesses. Some of them had alternatives, or they would have their own. There are 8 different creation myths for Mayan mythology, as far as I can tell. So it's very it's not a the obelisk of Mayan mythology. It's a bunch of different minor smaller mythologies that combine to form the larger Mayan mythology. So long explanation of Mayan mythology that probably isn't necessary. Also pertinent is if you've ever seen The Road to El Dorado.
Yes, best movie ever.
You'll be familiar with the idea of Xibalba.
Yes.
Which is
Xibalba?
Yes. Xibalba, also called Metnal. I believe, is Xibalba is the Yucatec version. Metnal is the Quiche Mayan version of the underworld, basically. That's where all souls, regardless of good, evil, whatever, go. And the entrance to Xibalba is usually through cenotes, which are these water formations in Mexico that are like these very, very deep pools that form, basically.
Like they had in the movie.
Exactly.
It was like a whirlpool.
Yeah, so that would be, so that's more of a whirlpool. These are like lakes that are sometimes like partially cavernous, like they're underground a little bit or something like that. So it was thought, if you swim into one of these underground lakes and into the caves, then you go to Xibalba. So
that's cool.
Just a quick primer. So Chel, she is a goddess. Again, snakes and hair sometimes jaguar features, sometimes has like bones on her clothing. She's also sometimes considered a warrior goddess. But primarily she's the goddess of childbirth and of women and of like the moon and divination, witchcraft, medicine.
God, I love her.
Yeah, she's
so Alex is
sick
right.
as hell.
She's a witch.
Yeah, he was 100% right.
That's so cute.
Right on site. She's very, very cool. She is, like I said, one of the patrons of women. And so there was a pilgrimage that would happen to the island of Cozumel from mainland Mexico of women who, it was sort of like a fertility rite, where if you were praying to get pregnant, or if you were praying for, especially also women would pray that their husbands would like their kids. Which is heartbreaking.
That's so sad.
So there was that pilgrimage to Cozumel. There was also a pilgrimage to a smaller island off the coast of Cozumel called Isla Mujeres, which is Island of Women. And that island is really, really small, but it is just covered in all of these idols of female goddesses, and especially Chel. I'll also mention Chel is one of the two names of this goddess, as well as Chel. Chel is usually the younger depiction, who is more associated with the moon and with sort of youth and abundance and stuff like that. Chel is the older version, who always has like the snakes in her hair. She's usually depicted as sort of crone-like, with like more non-human characteristics, like the jaguar pieces and everything like that. And she also is like the warrior, witchcraft, darkness sort of aspect. But also in the form of Chel, the older version, she is specifically the goddess of womanly revenge. Where it's just like, hey, if your husband hits you, kill him.
Yes.
Which is great. I love her a bunch. And like I said, the mythology is a little bit muddied over time, and there's a lot of really good scholarship about it, but a lot of it isn't available to me, who doesn't have a JSTOR account. So
oh God, I used to have a JSTOR account.
I know, I miss it so much.
Wow.
So Chel is... The Mayan mythology is a lot about like parallels and duality. So she's always depicted as being the partner of a male god. Almost all the time, that god is Itzamna, who's also named Kinijaho, who is the god of the sun, the god of creation, the god of fire, and arithmetic.
Makes sense.
Exactly. So she's the moon. Sometimes she's also depicted as being married to Chak, the brother of Itzamna. Chak is the god of rain and thunder and storms, basically.
This is some drama.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Chel.
So, also, she is Chel and Chel both translate to various meanings of rainbow.
Cute.
Rainbows in Mayan mythology were harbingers of doom.
Okay, never mind.
Which is also really cool, and like the whole duality of like her being a goddess of like creation and childbirth, but also like destruction. She's the goddess of the moon, which pulls the tides, and so as being the rainbows were often considered signs of like plague or pestilence, famine, all that. So, yeah. She's a weaver goddess. Also, she weaves at the spindle in the center of the universe. She's often depicted being holding like a jar, which has like water flowing out of it. She holds it upside down, which could mean the apocalypse, like the flood that ends the world, or it could mean like the rains that bring the crops, or it could mean the changing of the seasons, or it could mean childbirth.
Depends on her mood.
Yep. On Cozumel, there was said to be, during that pilgrimage, they would go to a specific statue of Chel, and they would pray for their child to be born healthy, for their husband to love their child, to become pregnant, etc. It was said that there was an oracle that would hide inside of the statue and
tell them, whatever they needed to hear.
Huh.
She also had a feast in her honor, the Feast of Chel, in which shamans and doctors would bring medicine to one central area. So if you needed treatment, you would wait, I guess, for the Feast of Chel.
Hopefully you'd make it.
Yeah, there you go. So there are a couple different sources for this one. Like I said, I had a little bit of a hard time finding stories, but I have like 3 smallish stories about her that I'm going to tell. This one is from Alma's LDS Tours Cancun. It's a tour company. But this is one of the early stories of Chel, like her sort of origin story. Chel was a Mayan princess. She was so beautiful that suitors would come from cities all around to come see her. But nothing ever came of it because she was in love with a priest named Itzamna from Bacalar, which is a city nearby. She fell madly in love with him. He was in love with her, but they weren't allowed to marry because he was a priest and she was a princess. A prince from another city, whose name we don't know for a very good reason, he came to the city, he saw Chel, this beautiful princess, and he fell in love with her. He didn't know that she was already in love with someone. So he started courting her and everything, and she just kind of brushed him off. And he was like, well, I just have to try harder because men. Chel had a sister named Ishtab.
Okay.
She knew that both of these men were in love with Chel. And she was like, why don't we just fuck around with that for a little bit? So she told the 2 guys, she was like, boys, this other guy wants to marry Chel.
Oh.
But I think you should marry Chel.
Oh,
I think you
should
should
about each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She was like, you guys should fight to the death about it.
Each time is a mood.
Yeah, she's like, why don't you guys fucking duel about it, idiots? So the 2 men duel, and Itzamna, the priest, almost wins, and then the prince cheats. And he catches him, and he cuts Itzamna, and then when he's down, he kills him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Chel is devastated. She doesn't want to be without Itzamna, and so she decides to commit suicide, which in Mayan culture is considered more honorable than living a useless life, which is kind of a bummer.
All right. Sure.
Content warning.
Oh, yeah. Trigger warning. She said something fucked up earlier.
Yeah. Chel decides to commit suicide. She sort of gives her soul to her sister Ishtab for safekeeping, and then she hangs herself. She ascends and becomes the goddess of the moon, and because of her sacrifice, Itzamna also ascends and he becomes the god of the sun, and they become sort of the father and mother of the gods.
Okay.
Which begs the question, what was he a priest of?
But
there's probably a
bunch of orphan gods running around without a father and a mother.
There's probably a very
Don't
simple
worry,
answer to that
kids.
I did not Google. But
Daddy's home.
Gross.
No, all right.
So they're up in the sky. Itzamna creates all the stars in the sky as sort of devotion to Chel, and each of the stars is said to represent a maiden who died too young. So women who die in the same way that Chel did become stars.
So many stars.
That's a lot of stars.
What shit.
Back on Earth, Ishtab, who again is a fucking mood, she becomes the goddess of suicide and the goddess of a noble death.
Oh, God.
Yeah, specifically, like, depicted in the same way as sort of like the Fool in tarot, where she's depicted as being herself sort of rotten and hanging, and it's messed up. But she goes to this prince, I guess forgetting that she was the one who put him up to this. She goes to this prince, and she's like, you're the reason my sister is dead. You will be forgotten. You will be erased from history, and no one will remember your name. And that's why we don't know who the prince is.
As Max is over here telling his story.
Yeah. Yep. So he was just erased from history.
Jesus.
Bye, asshole.
See ya later.
Everyone else became gods, and he became an eraser smudge on history. So fuck that asshole. And that's it. So that's that story. That's sort of the like mortal to immortal iteration of Chel. Also, I have my sources just in order of which ones I consulted. So I also got some information from the Spanish Academy Antigüeña, but I didn't know which information. So if you would like to know more, that is a place that I looked. In the Aktinchen National Park website, they have the story of Kinich Ahau, who was, again, he's sort of an aspect of Itzamna. This is when they're already gods. Chel is the moon goddess. Every day she sort of controls the pull of the tides and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And she is in love with Kinijaho, who is the god of the sun. And every single one of the gods in the Mayan pantheon is in love with her because she is beautiful. She is charming. She's talented. She's the moon.
She's the moon. God, you know what? No one ever calls me the moon. You know?
What's up, moon?
I was gonna say she's charming, she's talented. Now she has a baby. Congratulations. Our moon has a moon, guys.
Aww.
And it's called a moon. Thank you, Hank Green. Anyway.
Not our moon, but some moons.
No, our moon has a moon now.
It does?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a baby.
Aw.
Yeah.
Congrats, Moon.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
I'm gonna look this up as you do this. Hold on. Now I'm like, I'll look it up after.
Okay.
What if I'm lying? Again, all today I've been doubting everything I've said confidently. It's one of those days.
One of them days. So Ixchel was loved by every single god except for Kinijaho. She chased him across the sky. That's like the cycle of the moon and sun, is her just trying to get his attention and chasing him across the sky.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, she became so obsessed with chasing him that she started getting like out of sync, which caused like floods and droughts and famine. And she didn't notice because she was so like obsessed with just following him.
Go get your man.
Finally, she decides to make him a gift. She makes him a gown by hand, and it's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. A lot of weird parallels between our two stories.
I was gonna say,
we didn't talk about these ahead of time.
The gifts and the
like the gown and the
cool.
Key.
There's a theme.
So she makes him this beautiful gown thing, and he's like, fine, it's beautiful, I'll love you, whatever. They get married, and she has 4 half-jaguar sons, which are called the Bakabs. They're 4 like pantheon deities, which they're half-jaguar. They're very, very fast. You can't see them at night because of how fast they are. And they hold up the 4 corners of the world. Cool. So you have like the sky, which has the sun and the moon in it, and then there are 4 suns who hold up the corners of the world. After she has the kids, though, she gets hot again, or like stayed hot. She's just like super hot always. She's still super hot after she has sons.
Like sexy, like she's physically hot. Okay. Yeah. I thought you said after she had her kids, she got hot. And I was like, oh no, because she's sleeping with a son?
Oh no. Oh no.
I thought you were going to say that like she had her babies and then burned up.
No, I would never. So she's like super hot after she has the babies. Mm-hmm. And this makes Kinijaho super like jealous. What? He's like, okay, so my wife is still hot, and that's messed up. And he's like, she could just be cheating on me. She could already have cheated. These could not even be my sons.
God.
These could be my brother's sons.
Ew.
And so he makes himself so jealous that he decides to punish her for something that she hasn't done.
Oh my God.
And he strikes her with a bolt of fire and casts her out of the sky. And she falls down to earth. And he immediately realizes what he's done, and he feels horrible. And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me.
Okay,
I'm crazy. I'm
this
the
guy
worst."
Before. Okay, I know this guy. I fucking hate him.
He's like, "Please come back. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again." And she's like, "Yeah, it certainly fucking won't." And so she turns into a full jaguar, and she spends the rest of her life in like underground caves helping women and like protecting women.
Fucking hell yeah, I shall.
Yeah,
God,
she just never goes
her.
back.
Good for her.
I love her very much. So she basically just like helps women. She stays a jaguar, and she's like, "Fuck them boys, ladies." Also, I couldn't find any sources on this, but her being a jaguar underground, like I said, again, most of the cenotes are sort of like partially underground lakes, and considering that they are portals to Xibalba, I almost wonder if she's sort of like a psychopomp figure.
Oh, cool.
And I was looking, worldhistory.org has a list of Mayan deities, and I was just sort of scrolling through to try and get an idea of like what the different deities are like. Mm-hmm. And there is a deity, and again, this is just my personal like hypothesis. It has absolutely no basis in any factor research except for the very simple research that I did for this podcast. But there is a deity called Apuk, who is a god, male, and he has literally all the exact same domains as Ixchel. It's like, like childbirth and witchcraft and divining and women and the moon and the tides and like all that. The only difference is that he's male and he's a god of Xibalba. So he's like the underworld equivalent of, but there's no reference to them being almost identical in every epithet. So that's just my personal theory about mythology, is that she's both.
That's cool as shit. Yeah. I would like that. I would like that.
So that's just my personal thing. I also referenced gods-and-goddesses.com because this is a very serious podcast. I also have a story from another podcast. This podcast is called Tres Cuentos, a literary podcast. It is run by Carolina Quiroga Stultz.
Cool.
And you can find this episode online. She retells a story from the book The Moon in the Well by Erica Helm Mead. And she basically, as far as I can tell, she rewrote it in her own words and then tells the story. And she has a beautiful voice. She's a spectacular storyteller. So if you guys want, the podcast is called Tres Cuentos, and you can find it on Google.
Does she have a Mexican accent?
Yes.
Okay, so I will say, when I was learning Chinese in China, I had a Mexican classmate, and I don't think I've ever heard anything as beautiful as somebody with a Mexican accent speaking Chinese. There was something about it that felt like you were falling asleep. Like, she had the most beautiful voice ever. Now, every time I hear the Mexican accent at all, I'm like, yeah. That's
Carolina Quiroga Stultz has this like slow, like rolling voice that's just beautiful.
Beautiful voice.
And also, I couldn't find a ton on the website, but I think that this is her rewriting, and the rewriting itself is also beautiful. But again, the reference for the story is The Moon in the Well by Erica Helm Mead, which is a book of Mayan mythology. So this is the story of Chel and the dragonflies.
Cute.
So Chel, as I said, goddess of the moon, always busy. After she sort of, like, this is sort of a separate storyline, I guess, where she is not necessarily associated with the sun, aside from that they're like work buddies. So at this point, she's just the single goddess of the moon.
Yeah, she is.
And she, does her thing every day. She protects women, she controls the moon and the tides and everything, so she has a very busy day. But in the few moments that she has to herself, her favorite thing to do is she takes a canoe out in between the stars, and she just paddles the streams in between the stars. She likes to look up at the stars, and she'll hide herself in a cloak. So sometimes she'll just sort of like toss it over her shoulder, and sometimes she'll fully cover herself. So this is like the phases of the moon.
Yeah.
As she's going through the stars. Yeah. The sun, Itzamna, was in love with her. And so he would always like try and peek at dawn and dusk and try and catch a glimpse of her. And sometimes, he would just see like just the corner of her earlobe or something outside of the cloak. Or sometimes he would see a whole shoulder. And so he was just like every day he would like peek over the horizon a little bit to try and see her. And she, was like, didn't not notice. And so she would like let her cloak drop a little bit more over the shoulder, and he would be like, woo. And this went on for millennia of them just like weirdly flirting. So there are 2 seasons in this story, the season of calm and the season of storm.
Okay.
So half the year is calm, half the year is storms. This is pertinent specifically to Chuck, the god of storms.
Chuck.
Chaac, or Chac. He is the god of storms, and so during the calm season, he gets really bored, and he is a nosy bitch. So Chuck goes and he visits grandfather in this story. As far as I can tell, this is equivalent to the god Hunadku, who is sort of a later addition to the pantheon after Christianization kind of overhauled it a little bit. So this is basically God. Yeah. And then Itzamna is Jesus. So just so we're aware.
Itzamna is the god of the sun that we've been hearing about. Okay, good.
Yeah, Itzamna is the god of the sun.
Got it.
And then Hunadku is the god of gods. Basically, he's the god figure, and then
he's Bowser. Yeah. He's the big bad. Got it.
Yep. So in this story, that he's called grandfather. So Chuck goes and pays grandfather a visit, and he's like, "Oh, grandfather, god of gods. I know you see everything. I see a lot too, being in the sky all the time. So, I just want to gossip with someone about this. Like, you've seen how the sun looks at Chel, right?" And grandfather is like, "Yeah, I totally have." He hasn't. He wasn't paying attention. And Chuck is like, "Oh, I just can't believe." Like, it's almost like they're both, like, being bad at their jobs because they love each other so much.
Aww.
But, like, I don't think anyone's talking about this yet, but, like, it's crazy, right? And grandfather's like, "Yeah, it's really crazy." And so then Chuck leaves, and grandfather is alone, and he's thinking, and he's like, "Well, that can't happen, because they're the sun and the moon, and she's at night, and he's during the day. And if
grandfather, you're really working through something here."
Yeah, if they get together, it's an eclipse and we all die.
Oh.
So he's like, they literally can't be together. Like, the tides will stop, it'll just be constant, like, floods and drought and, like, half light, and all the crops will die, all the people will die. They can't be
rooting
together.
for those crazy kids. I want them to be together. Kill the world.
Yes. So he's like, they can't be together. He's sort of ruminating on this. In the meantime, Chalk is, you know, on his gossip high, and so he goes and he visits Vulture, who's on the top of a mountain. And he's like, oh, Vulture, how's it going? And Vulture's like, oh, good. And he's like, you look out at everything, so I know you already know this. I also can see a lot of stuff. So I just heard this crazy thing, though, and I don't know if you've heard about it yet. You probably have. But I heard whoever marries Chel will become king of the sky. And Vulture is like, oh my god, that's so crazy. I didn't hear that, but that's really good to know. And Chalk is like, yeah, looking out for you, bud. Anyways, bye. And then he leaves. And Vulture is thinking to himself, and he is not important. He's not like a big deal god or anything, but he's like, but Vulture, I'm on top of a mountain and I can fly, which means that I have an advantage.
Oh, yeah.
So every morning before dawn, Vulture flies up as high as he can, and he goes to see Chel, and he's like, oh, you're so beautiful. You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, look at you. You're so hot. You're so beautiful. I love you so much. And Chel's kind of like, thanks.
I'm imagining Jason Statham as the Vulture. I don't...
You're so beautiful.
Just about, oh man, you're so pretty. It's my classic Statham. And she's like, wow, you sound terrible.
She's like, is that a Vulture or is that Jason Statham?
It's both.
Oh, lady.
Oh, what isn't it?
You okay? Do you need a doctor?
Classic Statham.
So Vulture is very persistent, and he goes to visit Chel every morning before dawn. The sun becomes jealous because he sees, as he comes up over the horizon, he sees that the Vulture is already talking to Chel and everything, so he gets really jealous. However, the calm season is coming to an end, and so Chalk is like, all right, we gotta get this prank going. So he goes back to Grandfather, and he's like, oh, Grandfather, can we just talk about this stuff that we both already know, because we can both see everything? And Grandfather's like, yes, I know what you're talking about for sure.
Good God.
And Chalk says, everyone is talking about Chel and Vulture. Apparently, Vulture has been trying to woo her, and she's in love with him, and they're going to elope. But I also heard that the sun knows about this, and so the sun is going to try and kidnap Chel so that he can be with her.
They're just being sweet and flirty. That's all they want to do.
So, Grandfather is like, oh, I totally knew all about that, for sure. The thing is, though, I was just, like, thinking, like, before I do it, like, I want to figure out what I want to do about it. So, like, I'm just thinking about that, which is why I haven't done anything about it yet. So, like, what would you do, hypothetically, in this situation?
I don't need your help, but, like, what would you do?
But, like, just out of curiosity. And so Chalk and Grandfather confer, and Grandfather gives Chalk his blessing to go on with their plot. So the next morning, Vulture and the sun both move towards Chel to go try and woo her. Chalk is ready over the sea, and he's prepared the biggest storm that mankind has ever seen.
Meanwhile, he's trying to wipe out humanity.
Yeah. The skies are black, and he like...
The true villain.
Yeah, he riles up the sea, and he covers the whole world. He's black clouds, and he's thunder claps so hard that the stars shake in the sky.
All the maidens.
And then he's depicted as being on Earth causing the storm, and he throws axes up into the clouds, and when they hit the clouds, they become lightning and come down to the Earth.
Oh, he's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, he's cool. I'm back on his side. Check.
So he has, like, this armful full of axes, and he's just chucking them at the sky, and he's having the time of his life, because, again, it's been the calm season, and this is the first time he's been able to do a big storm in a while, and so he goes a little bit overboard, and he pitches one of his axes up into the sky, and he hits Chel.
No!
And she falls out of the sky, she falls into the water, and she's like, oh, I don't want to fucking deal with this. So she turns into a crab.
Yeah.
She's, like, hurt, but she's not, like, that hurt.
Yeah.
So she, like, turns into a crab, and she's like, I'll just hang out underwater until whatever the fuck this is done. And meanwhile, Chalk is just going absolutely hog wild, like, pitching axes in every direction and everything, and just not paying attention. And so finally he gets tired, and he ends the storm. Unfortunately, he has pitched a bunch of axes into the water, and one of them hit Ishel as a crab.
Good God, she's just trying to live, man.
Yeah, and this one is fatal. And Ishel is struck with lightning and killed immediately, and she floats up, back in her goddess form, she floats up to the top of the water, right next to her canoe, which has also fallen out of the sky. And just her body is, like, broken and floating in the water next to this, like, lonely canoe. So, from all around the world, 400 dragonflies fly to her.
Mm-hmm.
And they all come together and they lift her up into the canoe. And then they pick up the canoe with her inside of it and they bring it up to Grandfather. And Grandfather is heartbroken and he feels terrible. He's like, this is all my fault. I shouldn't have gotten involved. Like, I shouldn't have listened to Chalk. And
I mean, he didn't really do anything, though. At this point, Grandfather has only just been listening to gossip. Like, he
gave Chalk his permission to make a big storm. Yeah,
but he would have done that anyway. It was the stormy season. I just feel like Grandfather's beating himself up, but really he's just a passive figure. It's worse, but, like, he's a passive figure.
Yeah, so he blames himself. He grieves for 13 days and 13 nights. During those 13 days and 13 nights, the dragonflies don't leave. They all collect over Ishel in her canoe, which is like a coffin, and they just sit above her and they hum their wings for 13 days and 13 nights, sort of keeping a silent vigil over her. After these 13 days and 13 nights, Grandfather kind of pulls himself together and he says, it's time, like, I have to bring her to Xibalba.
Yeah.
And so he turns to the dragonflies and he says, will you carry her to the cenote so that she can go down to Xibalba? Like, I don't want to say goodbye, but I have to. It's her time.
Yeah.
At that moment, the dragonflies all lift up off of her body and she sits up.
Oh!
Because they weren't just humming. They were conferring unto her their life force and they brought her back to life.
I was going to ask, how long do dragonflies live? Like, they don't live for 13 days, do they?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I didn't research dragonfly life cycles for this.
What? You're not a dragonfly scientist?
So anyways, that's the end of the story. She comes back to life and returns to the sky.
And Chuck gets no sort of punishment?
Nope.
Cool.
So that specific iteration of the myth is Quiche Maya, which is one of the categories of Mayan mythology. I should also mention that the moon in Quiche Maya is considered like a container for water in the same sense as that jug that she carries around with her where she upends it. The Quiche Maya had a very comprehensive understanding of astronomy, so they could predict when an eclipse was about to happen. So one of the things they could predict it, but there wasn't really much that they could do about it. They could just kind of prepare for disaster because an eclipse was considered to be, in the same sense as a rainbow, sort of a harbinger of disaster. So they would prepare for it and everything like that. But this is kind of the story about why that is, sort of, where if the sun and the moon came together, the whole earth would be destroyed. And that moon container would tip upside down and all the waters of heaven would flow down to the earth and flood. So that's important.
Cool.
Like I said, also, just wrapping up here, worldhistory.org has a full list of all the gods of the Mayan pantheon. Again, like I said, the scholarship is extensive, but there are also lots of places where, you know, there are gods who are basically similar or in many cases identical, and they'll have different names. But there are also records of one god having multiple aspects that have different names, like Ishel and Shakshel.
Yeah.
And then Itzamna, who's also called the thing that I said earlier, Kini Jahal. They're the same, it's just different aspects of the same thing, which complicates everything even more.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of gods and goddesses, and we don't know how many of them are actually distinct and how many of them are just from different places, but like identical stories, because we don't have the stories. But that said, Ishel is very similar, I noticed, to Ishazalua or Ishazalvoa, who is also a goddess of divining and oracles and water and weaving and life and childbirth, and is the consort to Hunadku, the sort of king of kings, god figure that came about with Christianization and colonization.
That's the grandfather.
Yes, grandfather. And then Itzamna is considered like the parallel to Jesus. He is the son of Hunabku, the Christ god. Ishel has also, especially in more modern times, been sort of equated to a Virgin Mary figure.
Oh.
Because she's the protector of women and like the Holy Mother in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
But like I said, Ishel Zaloa and Hunadku are the king and queen of gods, and then Itzamna and Ishel are the king and queen of the skies.
Yeah.
And they're like two generations, but I'm not sure that they are, because all of their epithets are exactly the same. So they all have like the exact same control and everything like that. And also it would make more sense with the Christ analogy for Ishel to be Mary Magdalene. Anyways, But I also I mentioned Apuk, who is basically the same as Ishal, but male and controlling Xibalba. There's also, interestingly, a goddess or god named Chen or Chin.
Mm-hmm.
They control the moon as well as maize, corn maize.
Yeah.
Maize, corn. Not corn mazes.
They control corn mazes and hay rides.
Yeah, as well as magic. They were also counselor to kings, as well, like Isha Zalua, and then they also were sometimes depicted as male. They were depicted as male or female, and they were also the patron of homosexuality.
Cool.
Yeah, so there was a period in Mayan culture when it became very, very trendy, especially for the nobles to be gay.
Cool.
And Chen or Chin they were the patron of that, who would like come and be like, hey, you should be gay. And like whisper in your ear, and you'd be like, oh, sick, I'm gay now.
Yeah.
But again, also a lot of similarities to Ishel, and honestly, the only difference is that like the childbirth aspect is replaced with homosexuality. But honestly, super similar, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of
cool as shit.
Other things. Anyways, that's all I got.
That's so interesting and fun.
Yeah.
It does remind me, with all the different names and how confusing it is, it also reminds me of the Filipino gods. Like Apo, Apo Napolitao, and Ini, like the sun god. Like, he has so many different names that it's hard to keep track of. And like, just, if you are a scholar of Mayan mythology or Filipino mythology, like, chat us up. Tell us why. Tell us why that is. If you know a scholar, tell them to tell us why there are so many names.
Yeah, so and again, this is all my research just having been on Google for an hour and a half. But yeah, so super cool stuff. Also, if you can, look up the picture of Ishel on Cozumel, because it is spooky and cool. Oh, I should also mention, she is called the goddess of rainbows. Like I said, the rainbow is kind of a symbol of destruction.
Love that.
Specifically, the rainbow is red, yellow, white, and black, which she's depicted as having all of those colors in most of her depictions. So,
cool.
Yeah, she's...
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Ishak is, I think, they both mean something rainbow, but I think Ishak is red rainbow or something like that, or the red goddess. She's super cool. But the rainbow, it's also the 4 colors of the rainbow are also the 4 directions, the 4 like pillars. So her 4 suns each correspond to one of the colors as well.
Red, yellow, and black. That's the same in the medicine wheel in like Native American stuff. Like, that's the colors of the 4 corners of the earth. Yeah, and when she's depicted weaving, she, like I said, her spindle's at the center of the universe, and she's like the weaver of all things. She's also occasionally depicted with like spiders and stuff as like that weaver figure. But when she's weaving, she's usually weaving red, yellow, black, and white. So, cool.
Yeah, very cool.
That's so fun.
Yeah, pretty sick. I love her.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I love knowing more about Mayan mythology. I am excited to, I don't know, become obsessed with this, because that was badass.
She's sick as hell. I love her. I love the story about her husband being a piece of shit and her being like, you're a piece of shit, and reacting to that appropriately, because that is so rare in mythology. Especially like when you think about mythology as a concept being like teaching lessons, she is like the patron goddess of like no second chances when it comes to abuse, which is great. It's great that there's a story that's like, hey, if your husband hits you, it's okay to leave and never come back, no matter what he says.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, really great to have that as like, she is like one of the main goddesses in this, and it's great to have that story just accessible to women and normal modern in a society.
It is a very modern concept that it's weird that as like just multiple societies around the world, we forgot.
Yeah.
You know, because it was there, just the same way of like acceptance of homosexuality. Just around the world, everyone kind of forgot for a little while.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And that's Christian and European colonization for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And that was sort of the story.
That's sort of the story. Thanks, gang.
And there we have it. As we said, those are 2 stories that we have released in the past. My story was The Wife Who Could Remove Her Head, which is a Salvadoran retelling. It's from episode 33. And Max's story was all the way back from episode 13, Ishel, which was a Mayan story. We hope that you enjoyed them, and we hope that you'll hang out with us again. You can find pictures from these stories on Instagram. I'll release a post there. You can also hang out with us on Discord by joining the Patreon at the $3 level or the $7 level if you want some extra bonus episodes. You can always reach out to us via email at sortofthestory@gmail.com. You can find a whole list of our stories and more at our website, www.sortofthestory.com. And if you have the time, please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. A 5-star review is amazing. It helps people get to know us, and leave a little comment as well, and I'll share them on our Instagram. Okay, that is all. We love you guys so much, and we can't wait to hear from you. Bye.